The darkness smells like earth and rust, like something dying slowly beneath the ground. My wrists burn where the metal cuts in. When I shift, the chain scrapes concrete loud enough to make me freeze, listening, always listening for footsteps above. How long has it been this time? Days blur when you can't see sunlight. My stomach cramps, hunger, or the baby, I don't know anymore. I press my palm against the small swell beneath my dress. 5 months, maybe 6 now. I've lost count of everything except this. The baby moves. A flutter like butterfly wings trapped inside me. I remember Edinburgh in spring. Cobblestone streets slick with rain. The gallery opening, where I stood before my paintings, champagne in hand, believing my life was finally becoming what I dreamed, an artist, independent, free. Gregory appeared at my side without warning. Dark suit, perfectly tailored, eyes the color of Highland storms. He studied my work longer than anyone else that night, a series of landscapes depicting Scotland's wild places, empty moors under vast skies. "You make loneliness beautiful," he said. His accent carried the weight of old Edinburgh families, the kind who own buildings instead of renting flats. "Is that a compliment?" I asked. "It's an observation." He turned to face me fully. "Gregory Drummond, I'd like to purchase the entire series." The entire series. 12 paintings. More money than I'd made in 3 years of struggling. That should have been my first warning. Men who make offers like that want something beyond art. But I was 26 and stupid and flattered by attention from someone who looked at me like I mattered. We had coffee the next day, dinner that week. Within a month, he'd consumed my life so completely, I couldn't remember what loneliness felt like. "What do you do?" I asked him once, lying in his penthouse overlooking the Firth of Forth. "Investments, property development, import, export." His hand traced patterns on my bare shoulder. "Mostly, I solve problems for people who can't solve them themselves." I should have asked what kind of problems. Should have wondered why his phone rang at all hours. Why men in expensive suits appeared at his doors speaking in urgent whispers. Why he sometimes came home with scraped knuckles he wouldn't explain. Instead, I married him 6 months after we met. Registry office ceremony, just us and 2 witnesses he provided. My parents were dead, car accident when I was 19, and I had no siblings, no one to ask if I was certain, no one to tell me I was moving too fast. The wedding night, Gregory opened champagne in his apartment and made a toast. To Valerie Drummond, my wife, my future. Future. The word tasted like possibility then. 3 months into our marriage, I discovered I was pregnant. Gregory's reaction was immediate, overwhelming. He hired a private physician, insisted I stop working at the gallery where I'd been teaching art classes, moved us to a country house outside the city, 18th century stone, surrounded by acres of privacy. "For safety," he said. "Edinburgh's not safe enough for my family." I believed him because I wanted to, because the house was beautiful, because he seemed genuinely excited about the baby, already planning nurseries and interviewing nannies. The isolation crept in slowly. First, Gregory suggested I limit contact with the few friends I had. They don't understand our life, they'll ask questions. Then the internet stopped working properly. Service issues this far out, I'm handling it. Phone calls started dropping. Bad reception in the hills. By my 4th month of pregnancy, I was alone in that stone house most days. Gregory traveled constantly for business. The housekeeper came twice weekly but spoke limited English. The doctor visited monthly but never stayed long. I painted to stay sane. Set up a studio in the conservatory where light poured through glass walls. Landscapes, always landscapes, empty places where nothing human interfered. That's when I found the locked door. 2nd floor, end of the hallway. I'd assumed it was storage, but one afternoon, bored and restless, I tried the handle. Locked. I searched for keys in Gregory's study, finding nothing but business papers I didn't understand, and a handgun in the desk drawer that made my hands shake. When Gregory came home that weekend, I asked about the room. His expression went flat. "My mother's things. I'm not ready to sort them yet." "Your mother?" He'd never mentioned her, never mentioned any family besides a younger brother who died young. She passed 2 years ago. It's difficult to discuss. Please respect my privacy on this, Valerie. I should have pushed, should have demanded answers. Instead, I backed down, made dinner, pretended everything was fine. The truth arrived 3 weeks later in the form of a woman at our door. I was painting when the bell rang. The housekeeper wasn't scheduled, and Gregory was in Glasgow for meetings. I almost didn't answer, but isolation makes you desperate for any human contact. She stood on the steps looking terrified. Late 50s, gray hair pulled back, hands trembling. "You need to leave this house, now, before he comes back." "I'm sorry, who are you?" "Margaret Ross. I worked for Gregory's mother." She glanced behind her like someone might be watching. "Please, I don't have much time. He can't know I came here." "What are you talking about?" "His mother, Eleanor Drummond. She didn't die 2 years ago. She's locked in the basement, has been for 3 years. And if he's married you, if you're pregnant with his child, you need to understand what he is." The world tilted. "That's insane. Gregory wouldn't—" "Ask him about Cameron, his younger brother. Ask him what really happened." She pressed something into my hand, a key. "Third door on the left in the wine cellar. I was too afraid to use it, too afraid to go to the police because of what he might do. But you deserve to know what you've married into." She was gone before I could respond, disappearing into a car that sped down the drive. I stood holding the key until my fingers went numb. That night after Gregory returned, I made myself ask, "Tell me about Cameron." Gregory froze mid-pour of whiskey. "Why are you asking about my brother?" "Because you never talk about your family. Because I'm having your child and I don't know anything about the people he comes from." "Cameron died when he was 12, drowning accident on the loch. Our mother never recovered. I was 15, it destroyed our family." "And your mother? How did she die?" "Heart attack, 2 years ago this November." He moved to the window, back to me. "Why the sudden interest in my dead family?" I almost told him about Margaret, about the key burning in my pocket. Instead, I said, "The baby makes me think about family history, what genes we're passing on, what stories we'll tell." Gregory turned, and for just a moment, I saw something in his expression that made my blood run cold. Then it was gone, replaced by his usual control. "Our child will have everything. Safety, security, opportunity. That's all the history that matters." He left for London the next morning. "Business," he said. "Back in 4 days." I waited until his car disappeared down the drive. The wine cellar was exactly where Margaret described it, third door on the left. The key fit perfectly. The stairs descended into darkness that swallowed everything. I used my phone flashlight, hands shaking so badly the beam jumped across stone walls. At the bottom, a long corridor, and at the end, a heavy wooden door with a bolt. I should have run, should have called the police, called someone, done anything except slide that bolt open, but I did. The room was small, maybe 10 feet square, a narrow bed, a bucket in the corner, and chained to a pipe on the far wall, a woman. She looked up when light hit her face. Hollow eyes, matted gray hair, impossibly thin. She wore what might once have been a nightgown, now filthy and torn. "Please," she whispered, "please help me." I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. My phone slipped from my hand, light spinning across the ceiling before clattering to the ground. The woman, Eleanor, it had to be Eleanor, began crying. "Are you real? Please tell me you're real. Sometimes I see things that aren't there." "I'm real." The words came from somewhere outside my body. "How long have you been down here?" 3 years, maybe 4. Gregory brings food sometimes, water. He says I'm sick, says I need to stay here until I'm better. She pulled against the chain. "But I'm not sick. I never was. He just couldn't accept what I knew about him." "What you knew?" "About Cameron. about what really happened at the lock." Her voice cracked. "My son didn't drown. Gregory held him under. I saw it. 12 years old, holding his brother underwater because Cameron embarrassed him at school, told other boys that Gregory was weird. When I confronted him, when I said I'd tell the police, he looked at me with such coldness. 2 days later, I woke up down here. The basement spun. My baby kicked hard against my ribs. 'You're pregnant.' Eleanor noticed my shape. 'Oh God, he got someone pregnant? You need to run, now, before he comes back. He's in London. I have 4 days. He'll know. He always knows. He has cameras everywhere.' She pulled at her chain desperately. 'Please, get bolt cutters. Free me. We'll go to the police together. They'll believe 2 of us.' I backed toward the stairs. 'I'll come back, I promise. I need to think.' 'There's no time to think.' Eleanor's voice rose to a scream. 'He'll kill us both. He'll kill your baby. That's what he does to things that disappoint him.' I ran, up the stairs, through the wine cellar, into the house. My hands found my phone, my keys, my bag. I was at the front door when it opened. Gregory stood there, 3 days early, perfectly calm. 'Going somewhere?' he asked. The gallery called. They need me to..." "You found her." Not a question. "You went down there despite my explicit wishes about privacy." "Gregory, listen." "No, you listen." He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "My mother is sick. Paranoid schizophrenia. Diagnosed 15 years ago. She became violent, dangerous. I couldn't put her in an institution where she'd be abused and neglected. So I keep her here, safe, cared for. That's not care. That's imprisonment. It's protection from herself and from a world that would exploit her condition." His voice remained reasonable, measured. "The story she told you about Cameron, a delusion. My brother drowned. I tried to save him. I've lived with that failure my entire life." "Then why hide her? Why not tell me?" "Because people don't understand. They make judgments based on ignorance." He moved closer. "You're carrying my child, Valerie. Our child. A Drummond heir. I won't let you destroy this family with misguided rescue attempts." I tried to run, made it 3 steps before his hand closed around my arm. Not hard enough to leave marks, just hard enough to stop me. "Let me go." "I will, after we talk this through rationally." He guided me to the living room, sat me on the sofa with terrifying gentleness. "You're emotional. The hormones, the shock of finding my mother. I understand. But you need to calm down and think about what's best for our baby." "Best for the baby? You have your mother chained in a basement." "I have my mother in medical isolation for her own safety." He poured water, handed it to me. "Drink. You're pale." I threw the glass. It shattered against the wall. "I'm calling the police." "With what phone?" He held up mine. When had he taken it? "Valerie, please be reasonable. My mother is delusional. You're 7 months pregnant. The stress of involving authorities, the publicity, the trial, that can't be good for the baby." 7 months, not 6 like I thought. I'd lost track of time completely. "I'll make you a deal," Gregory continued. "You stay calm, focus on delivering a healthy child. After the birth, after you've recovered, we'll discuss my mother's care together. Perhaps a private facility would be appropriate, but not now, not when you're this vulnerable." Vulnerable. The word tasted like poison. "You need me, Valerie. Your parents are dead. You have no siblings, no close friends. Where would you go? How would you support yourself and a baby?" His hand rested on my knee. "I love you. I want our family to thrive. Don't throw that away over a misunderstanding." I wanted to fight, to scream, to run, but he was right about one thing. I had nowhere to go, no money of my own, no one who would believe me over a wealthy, respected businessman. "Okay," I whispered. Okay. Good. He kissed my forehead. I'm glad you're being sensible. Now rest. I'll make dinner. That night, I lay in bed beside him, feeling the baby move, planning. I had 2 months until delivery. 2 months to figure out escape, to gather evidence, to find someone who would help. But Gregory was always there, always watching. The housekeeper stopped coming, the doctor switched to video consultations. My world shrunk to that stone house and the man who controlled everything inside it.
The baby came early, 8 months instead of 9. Labor started at 3 in the morning, searing pain that woke me screaming. Gregory called his private physician, told me everything would be fine, held my hand through contractions while I wanted to claw his eyes out. 14 hours later, I delivered a daughter. Tiny, perfect, black hair like her father. Rose, Gregory said, holding her with surprising gentleness. We'll name her Rose, after my grandmother. I should have felt joy, should have felt that instant connection mothers describe. Instead, I felt terror. Because now I had another person to protect from this man. The first month passed in a haze of exhaustion. Feeding every 2 hours, diapers, soothing cries. Gregory hired a night nurse so I could sleep, but I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Eleanor in that basement. When Rose was 6 weeks old, I finally managed to sneak back downstairs. Eleanor looked worse, thinner, weaker. Her chain had rubbed the skin off her ankle. Infection had set in, red and weeping. You had the baby. Her voice was barely a whisper. Girl or boy? Girl. Rose. Get her out, whatever it takes. Get that baby away from him. Eleanor grabbed my wrist with shocking strength. He's already planning. I can hear him talking on the phone. Something about bloodlines, about raising her properly, about mistakes he won't repeat. What mistakes? Me. I was too soft with him. Let him get away with things when he was young. Small cruelties to animals, lies that hurt other children. I thought he'd grow out of it. Tears tracked through the grime on her face, but you don't grow out of being born wrong inside. I brought her clean water, food I'd hidden in my pockets, antibiotics I'd stolen from the medicine cabinet for her ankle. She said, "It's not enough. He'll know. He tracks everything." She was right. That night, Gregory appeared in the nursery while I was feeding Rose. "You've been visiting my mother again. She's sick. She needs real medical care. She's receiving exactly what she needs. You, however, seem unable to follow simple boundaries. That concerns me. Give her back. In a moment." He studied our daughter's face. "She looks like my side of the family. That's good. Strong bloodlines matter." His eyes lifted to mine. "I've been very patient with you, Valerie. Very understanding of your difficulties adjusting. But my patience has limits." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that mothers who can't be trusted around their children sometimes have tragic accidents. Postpartum psychosis is a terrible thing. Women hearing voices, seeing things that aren't there, putting their babies in danger." He handed Rose back. "I'd hate for that to be your story." The threat was clear. I stopped visiting Eleanor, stopped trying to plan escape, focused entirely on keeping Rose safe by being the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfectly compliant prisoner. 3 months of that? 3 months of dying inside while smiling for Gregory's business associates, while hosting dinner parties where I played the role of devoted spouse, while my daughter grew and smiled and had no idea her father was a monster. Then Margaret returned. I found her note tucked inside the diaper bag after a rare trip to town for supplies. Friday night, midnight. Side gate. Police are coming. Be ready. Friday was 2 days away. Gregory was scheduled to be in Aberdeen for meetings, but I'd learned not to trust his schedule. He appeared and disappeared without warning, testing me. Friday night, I waited until 11:30. Rose slept in the nursery. Gregory hadn't come home, but that meant nothing. At 11:45, I crept to Eleanor's basement, used bolt cutters I'd stolen from the gardening shed. The chain parted with a crack that sounded deafening in the silence. Eleanor collapsed when I tried to help her stand. 3 years chained in place had destroyed her muscles. She couldn't walk. "Leave me," she gasped. "Get the baby and run. Police are coming at midnight. They'll find me." "I'm not leaving you. You don't have a choice. You can't carry both me and Rose." She pushed at me weakly. "Your daughter needs her mother. I've already lost everything. Don't let him take her too." Upstairs, Rose started crying. That sixth sense babies have when something's wrong. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. "Go. Please, save that baby. It's the only thing that matters now." I ran up those stairs knowing I was abandoning her, burst into the nursery reaching for Rose, and found Gregory holding her. "Going somewhere?" he asked softly. "How? You're supposed to be in Aberdeen." I was, until Margaret Ross called my office with a very interesting confession about conspiring with my wife to break into my home and kidnap my mother. She's been arrested. The police she supposedly contacted never existed. It was all a setup to see if you could be trusted. My knees buckled. I wanted to believe you'd changed, that you'd accepted your role here. But you failed the test. Spectacularly. "Please, I'll do anything. Just don't hurt her." "Hurt her? She's my daughter, my heir. I would never hurt her." He smiled. "You, however, have become a liability." He walked past me carrying Rose. I tried to follow, but his security team appeared. Men I'd seen around the property but never questioned. They grabbed my arms. "Take her to the East Wing," he said without looking back. "The room that's been prepared." They dragged me through the house, not to the basement, somewhere worse. A room on the 3rd floor I'd never noticed. Soundproofed walls, a bed bolted to the floor, and on that bed, chains. "No! No! Please!" They were efficient, professional. Shackled my wrists and ankles before I could fight effectively. Left me screaming. Gregory appeared in the doorway, hours later, maybe days. Time had stopped meaning anything. "Rose is fine," he said. "The night nurse is excellent. She won't even miss you for several days." "Why are you doing this?" "Because you're not ready yet. You're still too attached to old ideas about freedom and choice. But don't worry, my mother was eventually conditioned properly. It just took time." He adjusted his cuffs. "You'll learn. They all do eventually." "They all?" Horror flooded through me. "How many women have you done this to?" "Does it matter? You're here now. That's all you need to focus on." He moved toward the door. "I'll visit tomorrow. We'll discuss your future behavior expectations." The door closed, locked. Darkness swallowed everything except the sound of my own breathing and the rattle of chains when I moved. That was 8 weeks ago. Maybe 9. Maybe more. I've lost count of everything except this. I'm still alive. Rose is upstairs somewhere, and Gregory hasn't broken me yet. He tries, brings me food irregularly to keep me disoriented, shows me photos of Rose to remind me what I'm missing, promises that good behavior means seeing her again. I pretend compliance, apologize for my behavior, tell him he was right about everything, because I'm learning something Eleanor understood. You survive by making them believe they've won. The door at the top of the stairs opens now. Footsteps. Multiple people, not just Gregory. I press myself into the corner, chains scraping, make myself small. Light floods the room so bright I have to shield my eyes. Jesus Christ! The voice is male, Scottish accent, deep, not Gregory. I can't see him yet, just his silhouette against the blinding light. Get bolt cutters, now. He barks the order to someone I can't see. And get medical on the phone. I need someone at the station in 20 minutes. Police? My mind can't process this. This is another test. Gregory playing games. But the man who comes down the stairs isn't Gregory. He's younger, mid-30s, wearing a suit that's been soaked by rain. His face is angular,
Professional. And when he sees me fully, he stops moving. Mrs. Drummond? He speaks carefully. Valerie Drummond? I nod. My voice won't work. My name is Detective Inspector James Fraser. We've been searching for you for 6 weeks. He crouches down, staying just out of reach. You're safe now. This is over. Rose. The word comes out as a croak. Where's my daughter? With Child Protective Services. She's unharmed. We found her upstairs with a nanny who claims she didn't know you were in the house. His jaw tightens. The nanny's been arrested. Another officer appears with bolt cutters. They part the chain with a sharp crack. I fall forward, and Fraser catches me before I hit the concrete. Easy. When did you last eat? Yesterday? 2 days ago? I don't know. He lifts me carefully, carrying me toward the stairs. My vision swims. The house above is chaos. Police everywhere. Evidence markers, lights blazing in every room. Where's Gregory? I managed to ask. He's in custody. We arrested him 3 hours ago at his office. Fraser carries me outside into rain that feels like heaven on my skin. An ambulance waits, paramedics moving quickly. He's been charged with kidnapping, false imprisonment, and about 15 other counts. We're still sorting through what we found in this house. Eleanor? His mother. Is she... We found her in the basement. She's at hospital now. Severe malnutrition and infection, but the doctors think she'll recover. He sets me carefully on the gurney. She's the one who finally got us here. Managed to slip a note to a delivery driver last week. Said her son was keeping multiple women prisoner. Multiple. I think about what Gregory said. They all do, eventually. How many? I whisper. Fraser's expression darkens. We're still investigating, but we've found evidence of at least 3 other women over the past decade. We're working on identifying them. The paramedics work efficiently. IV line, blood pressure, questions I answer on autopilot. I'm dehydrated, malnourished. The shackles left deep lacerations around my wrists and ankles. Rose. I say again, I need to see Rose. Soon, Fraser promises. They're checking her thoroughly at hospital, making sure she's healthy. Once the doctors clear you both, I'll arrange a reunion. The ambulance doors close. We move through Edinburgh streets, rain streaming down the windows. I watch the city pass, thinking about how normal it all looks. People going about their lives, completely unaware of the nightmares happening behind closed doors. At hospital, the care is overwhelming. A private room, clean sheets, water I can drink without wondering if it's drugged, A doctor who examines my injuries with gentle hands and fury in his eyes. You'll need surgery on the ankle. The infection went deep, but we can repair most of the damage. Most. Not all. I'll carry scars forever. Fraser visits that evening, brings photos of Rose, recent ones, showing her with foster carers who look kind. She's perfect, he says. Healthy, hitting all developmental milestones. The nanny took good care of her physical needs, at least. But she doesn't know me. The realization breaks something inside me. I've been gone 2 months. She's only 4 months old. She won't remember me. You'll remind her. Children are resilient. He sits in the chair beside my bed. I need to ask you some questions about what happened. I know it's difficult, but details help us build a stronger case. I tell him everything. The locked room, finding Eleanor, Gregory's threats, the fake rescue attempt, being chained upstairs. The timeline is jumbled, but Fraser takes notes without judgment. Did he assault you sexually? The question is careful, clinical. No, never. He was obsessed with control, not that. He wanted obedience, wanted to reshape me into what he thought a wife should be. Fraser nods. That matches what Eleanor told us. Gregory's pathology is about dominance, not sexual gratification, which doesn't make it less horrific. What happens now to him? Trial. He's being held without bail, flight risk, and danger to public safety. Between your testimony, Eleanor's, the physical evidence, and what we're uncovering about previous victims, he's looking at life imprisonment. Multiple life sentences, actually. Life imprisonment. Gregory locked away the way he locked us away. There's symmetry in that. And Rose? My voice breaks on her name. That's more complicated. Technically, Gregory has parental rights until they're legally terminated. But given the circumstances, that's a formality. You'll regain full custody once you're medically stable. He pauses. There is one complication. My heart stops. What? Gregory's mother, Eleanor. She's Rose's grandmother. She's asking to be part of the custody discussion. Eleanor, who I left chained in that basement, who told me to save Rose while I abandoned her. I want to see her, I say. Fraser nods. I thought you might. I'll arrange it. They bring us together 2 days later in a neutral conference room at hospital. Eleanor is clean now, hair washed and cut, wearing clothes that fit. She's desperately thin, moving with the careful slowness of someone relearning how their body works. We stare at each other across the table. I'm sorry, I finally say. I should have found a way to get you out too. You did exactly what you should have done. You saved your daughter. Eleanor's voice is stronger than it was in the basement. That's what matters. Fraser said you want to be part of Rose's life. Not immediately. Not until I'm, she searches for words, better, recovered. I need therapy, medical care, time to remember who I was before the basement. Her eyes fill with tears. But she's my granddaughter, the only family I have left. When I'm ready, when you're ready, I'd like to know her, if you'll allow it. I think about what it means to survive something this terrible, how we're both broken in ways that will never fully heal, but also how we both fought to protect Rose in the only ways we could. When you're ready. I agree. We'll figure it out together.
3 weeks later, they finally bring Rose to me. She's bigger than I remember. 4.5 months now, eyes bright and curious. When the social worker places her in my arms, she studies my face with serious concentration. Then she smiles. It's probably just gas, or a random expression, but I choose to believe she knows me, remembers something deep in her infant brain about the woman who carried her, birthed her, loved her desperately, even while chained in darkness. Hi, baby.
I whisper. Mama's here. Mama's here now. Fraser gives me space to bond with her, but I see him watching from the doorway. His expression is satisfied. This is why he does his job, for moments like this. Over the next month, Rose and I live in a protected house while I recover and the trial preparations continue. Eleanor visits twice a week, supervised sessions, where we sit together and remember how to be human. She tells me stories about Gregory's childhood, warning signs she missed, behaviors she excused, the gradual revelation of what he was. I thought love could fix him, she says during one visit. That if I just tried hard enough, showed him enough affection, he'd learn empathy. But you can't teach someone to feel what they're incapable of feeling. It's not your fault, isn't it? I'm his mother. I brought him into the world. I failed to stop him from destroying so many lives. Her hands shake around her teacup. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to atone for that failure. You survived him too. That's not failure. She doesn't look convinced. The trial begins in October. Edinburgh's High Court. Media circus outside. I testify for 6 hours, recounting everything in clinical detail while Gregory watches with his flat, cold expression. He doesn't react when I describe the chains, the isolation, the threats against our daughter. Eleanor testifies next. 3 years in the basement. Cameron's death, which they've now reclassified as murder after exhuming his body and finding evidence of violent drowning. The systematic abuse that started when Gregory was barely a teenager. The prosecutor introduces evidence about other victims. Sarah Mitchell, who disappeared 8 years ago. Jennifer Ross, gone 6 years ago. Amy Chen, missing 4 years ago. All artists. All young women without close family. All involved with Gregory briefly before vanishing. They found bodies. Not all of them, but enough. I sit in the gallery holding Rose, learning that I was never special, just the latest in a pattern. The one who got lucky because Eleanor managed to get that note to a delivery driver. The jury deliberates for 3 hours. Guilty. On all counts. The judge sentences Gregory to life imprisonment without possibility of parole. 4 consecutive life sentences, plus 60 additional years. He'll die in prison, old and forgotten. As they lead him away, he looks at me one last time. I wait for rage or threats. Instead, he smiles slightly. She'll always be part mine. You can't change her blood. Security removes him before I can respond, but his words haunt me. Because Rose does carry his genes, his DNA. Half of her came from a monster. Fraser finds me after, sitting alone in the corridor. He's trying to get in your head. Don't let him. What if he's right? What if she grows up to be like him? Children aren't doomed by their genetics. She has you. She has Eleanor. She'll grow up knowing she's loved, knowing she's safe. That's what shapes people, not DNA. I want to believe him. That night, I hold Rose while she sleeps, study her tiny face, try to see if there's anything of Gregory in her features beyond the dark hair. She yawns, a small, perfect sound. Her hand finds my finger, grips it with surprising strength. You're going to be okay, I whisper. We both are, I promise. It's a promise I have no idea if I can keep, but I make it anyway. Because that's what survivors do. We promise ourselves tomorrow will be better, and then we fight like hell to make it true. 6 months after the trial, Eleanor and I find a small cottage outside Edinburgh, close enough to the city for resources, far enough for privacy. We share expenses, share Rose's care, share the long, slow work of healing. Eleanor has nightmares. So do I. But we take turns being strong when the other breaks. We attend therapy, separate and together. We learn to live in spaces that aren't prisons. Rose grows, sits up, babbles, reaches for us both with equal trust. I start painting again, not landscapes this time, portraits. Eleanor, Rose, the detective who saved us, the delivery driver who took Eleanor's note seriously. All the faces of people who chose to help when they could have looked away. A painting shows Eleanor and Rose together, afternoon light streaming through the cottage windows. Eleanor looks almost peaceful, Rose giggling in her arms. I title it 3 Generations of Surviving. It sells at a gallery in Edinburgh for more money than I made in a year before Gregory. The buyer is anonymous, but Fraser hints it might have been the judge from the trial. The money goes into a trust for Rose. For therapy she'll inevitably need, for education, for whatever future she chooses. I'm painting in the conservation when Eleanor finds me one afternoon. She's holding her phone, expression troubled. What's wrong? Prison called. Gregory's in hospital. Heart attack. They're asking if family wants to visit before... She trails off. Before he dies. She doesn't say it, but we both understand. Are you going? I ask. I don't know. He's still my son. Despite everything, I gave birth to him. Loved him once. Does that make me weak? It makes you human. Eleanor goes. I stay home with Rose. 3 hours later, Eleanor returns looking hollowed out. He died 20 minutes after I got there, conscious enough to recognize me. His last words were, "I'm sorry you couldn't understand what I was trying to build." Not an apology, not remorse, just disappointment that we failed to appreciate his vision. He never changed, I said softly. No, they rarely do. But he's gone now, really gone. We're finally free. Free. The word tastes strange, because freedom after trauma isn't simple relief. It's complicated. It's carrying scars while building new lives. It's jumping at unexpected sounds. It's nightmares mixed with moments of genuine joy. It's Rose's first birthday party, celebrated with just Eleanor and me, and a ridiculous cake shaped like a teddy bear. Rose smashing frosting into her hair while we laugh until we cry. It's Eleanor finally selling the house where she was imprisoned, using the money to fund a charity for domestic violence survivors. It's me testifying on hearings about coercive control laws, putting my face and story out there so maybe someone else recognizes the warning signs earlier. It's hard. It's painful. But it's ours. Built on our terms. Fraser visits sometimes, checking in even though the case is long closed. He brings toys for Rose, stays for tea, never asks invasive questions. One evening, he mentions they've identified all 3 previous victims. Families have been notified, bodies returned for proper burial. Does it help, I ask, knowing their stories ended? It helps their families, gives them closure. He sets down his cub carefully. Does it help you? I don't know. I survived when they didn't. Sometimes that feels like luck. Sometimes it feels like responsibility. Survivor's guilt is normal, but you didn't cause their deaths any more than Eleanor did. Gregory chose his actions. He alone bears that responsibility. I know he's right. Knowing and feeling are different things. Rose toddles over, using furniture to pull herself upright. She's walking now, 13 months old and fearless. Reaches for Fraser with complete trust. He lifts her easily and she pats his face with sticky hands. "She's lucky to have you both," he says quietly. "We're lucky to have each other." That night, after Rose is asleep, Eleanor and I sit in the garden watching stars emerge. It's the kind of peaceful evening I never thought I'd experience again. "Do you think about him?" Eleanor asks. "Gregory?" "Sometimes. Mostly, I think about how close I came to losing everything." I pull my cardigan tighter. "How different one choice could have made things. But you made the right choices. In the basement, you fought. You survived. You protected Rose." Eleanor's voice is firm. "That's what matters. You fought too. That note you gave the delivery driver, you saved us. We saved each other." She reaches over, squeezes my hand. "That's how survival works. Together." We sit in silence, two women who should have been destroyed by the same man. Instead, we're here, alive, healing, building something better from the wreckage. 8 years later. Rose runs through the cottage garden, 9 years old and wild with joy. She's chasing butterflies, hair flying behind her, laughing that pure, uncomplicated laugh children have. Eleanor gardens nearby, moving slowly but steadily. She's 71 now, gray hair cut short, hands steady on the trowel. Still healing, always healing. I watch from the studio, new paintings drying on easels. A gallery in London wants an exhibition. Survival in 3 acts, they're calling it. Works exploring trauma, resilience, and hope. Rose has seen the paintings. We've never hidden the truth from her. Age-appropriate versions, but honest. She knows her father was a bad man who hurt people. Knows her mother and grandmother survived something terrible. She handles it better than I expected. Maybe because she's never known anything else. This is just her story, woven into who she is. "Mom," Rose calls, "can we go to the lock tomorrow for my birthday?" Her birthday. 10 years since I went into labor in that stone house, terrified and alone. "Of course, love. We'll pack a picnic. Can we invite James?" James. Fraser. He's been part of our lives so long that Rose calls him by his first name. He retired from police work last year, burned out by too many cases like ours. Now he volunteers with victim advocacy groups. I'll ask him. Rose bounds over, flushed and happy. "Will Nana Eleanor come too?" "If she's feeling up to it." "I'm always up for celebrating this one," Eleanor says, smiling. She's learned to smile again. Took years, but she got there. That night I write in the journal my therapist encouraged me to keep. Documenting progress, processing pain, recording joy. Rose turns 10 tomorrow. 10 years since I became a mother in the worst circumstances imaginable. 10 years of fighting to give her a better life than the one she was born into. She's smart, funny, kind. She loves art like I do. She loves gardening like Eleanor. She has nightmares sometimes. Legacy of genetics or just normal childhood fears, I'll never know. But she also has us. 2 women who would burn the world down to keep her safe. Gregory is 8 years dead. Sometimes I forget what his face looked like. Other times I see it clearly in Rose's features and have to remind myself that she is not him. She is wholly herself, formed by love and safety and the conscious choice to be good. Eleanor says that's the ultimate revenge, that Gregory wanted to create something in his image, and instead we raised someone who is everything he wasn't. Compassionate, honest, free. I think she's right. Tomorrow we'll celebrate Rose's birthday at the lock. The same lock where Cameron died all those years ago. But we're reclaiming it. Turning that place of tragedy into somewhere Rose makes happy memories. That's what survival is, really. Taking back the places and moments stolen from you, refusing to let trauma have the final word. We are writing our own ending, and it's beautiful. I close the journal and go upstairs to check on Rose. She's asleep already, stuffed rabbit tucked under her chin, face peaceful in the moonlight streaming through her window. I smooth her hair back gently. She doesn't wake. I love you. Always. No matter what. Downstairs, Eleanor is making tea. We sit together in comfortable silence, two survivors who became family. Thank you, I tell her. For everything. For fighting when you could have given up. For loving Rose. For building this life with us. Thank you for giving me a reason to survive. I spent 3 years thinking I'd die in that basement. Now I get to watch my granddaughter grow up. That's everything. We drink our tea and watch the night settle over the cottage. Tomorrow we'll celebrate Rose's birthday. Next week we'll keep healing. Next month we'll keep living. Because that's what we do. We survived the worst. Now we're claiming the best. Together. Always together. And somewhere in the distance, I swear I hear something shift. Like the universe acknowledging that we won. Not by forgetting what happened, but by refusing to let it define us. We are more than what was done to us. We are what we chose to become.